Hello, I'm Chuck Shelton, CEO of Greatheart Consulting, and we're talking about the merit mess in this video with the subtitled question, can we fix meritocracy beyond bias? Merit is a durable idea that claims to focus on excellence, but meritocracy as a social order built on the recognition of demonstrated achievement has been stained by bias that assumes some are less qualified because they differ from identities established as normative. Many view merit as a commitment to excellence, and many others view talk of merit as a myth that steals opportunity. That's why I call it the merit mess. My point, if we're going to commit to merit, we have to do it inclusively. My goal in this video is to set us up across all our differences, to talk about merit with care and intellectual rigor so that we can actually construct an inclusive meritocracy together. You can download the accompanying article that goes into more depth at greatheartconsulting.com. Just look under the merit mess. Let's start by considering definitions of merit, meritocracy, and what I call the arrogant alternative. Rightly defined, merit is the judgment of a person's performance and or character as accomplished and deserving of recognition or opportunity. So merit is about determining what someone deserves based on who they are and what they've done. It relates to each person's demonstrated skills, abilities, achievements, or virtues, qualify them as worthy of reward or advancement. Judgments of merit often take into account previous hard work and the expectation that past success signals future performance. Meritocracy, then, is a system or social order that recognizes and rewards achievement and virtue. Meritocracy can be seen as a high-performing organization that systematically and credibly evaluates worthiness and provides deserved opportunities. The core benefit to operating as a meritocracy, every kind of excellence is rewarded and a mix of talent rises. That brings us to the arrogant alternative. In contrast to a meritocratic culture, some will claim they lead or embody a meritocracy, but their status or presumed achievements are significantly fueled by social connection related to wealth or family and personal relationships, by obligation derived from past loyalties or entanglements, by mutual financial self-interest, by historic and practical bias against those of other identities, and by accumulated advantage or privilege derived from systemic preference. In other words, merit is not self-declared, but rather a more objective evaluation of excellence or the lack of it by others about what each person has done and the values they exhibit. In such crucial judgments, a real meritocracy prioritizes substantive achievement and lays bare nepotism, cronyism, financial self-dealing, narcissism, and any other form of favoritism or delusion unrelated to demonstrated achievement. You don't prove merit or lead a meritocracy because you say so. Only others can speak your merit into existence. In the same way, we do not have the right to cold-heartedly doubt others when they speak about the ways talk of merit actually operates as bias. Since merit is the judgment by observers of another person's achievement and virtue, that means that an actual meritocracy must accept accountability to those deemed less qualified, not due to their accomplishments, but based on their identities. Specifically in the context of the United States, anyone claiming to operate in a meritocracy must listen carefully to the judgments of women, those who identify as other than white, and others commonly evaluated as less qualified, less worthy, less deserving. There is no excuse for such devalidation. It is a low-performing choice and a pattern unworthy of anyone who prizes excellence. A sharp point of contrast unveils merit's reputational problem. Those of us who are white male executives and managers, like me, may be tempted to conclude, since merit demonstrates excellence, people see achievement when they see me. In tangible conflict with this assumption, many people experiencing disadvantage, that is, those with other identities, may think, since merit is code for inequitable advantage, we sometimes see claims of your merit as cover for your mediocrity. That's a painful, powerful, and largely unexplored gap. Meritocracy's current brand suffers so severely from this merit versus diversity bias and the reaction to it that the usefulness of merit as a frame for excellence may be irredeemable. Let's look at the challenge we face to clean up the merit mess. We'll start by considering the stain of bias in judgments on worth. Catherine Phillips, a dear friend and colleague, served as a tenured professor at Columbia Business School. Tragically, she passed away in 2020. She led with brilliance and humor, and as a Black woman with a PhD who loved her family and used her voice. The two of us had the chance to do some amazing work together. In 2017, I sat down in her office and said, Kathy, I think the two of us should write an article on inclusive meritocracy to counter the merit versus diversity bias and to affirm the commitment to excellence in inclusive leadership. She looked at me with her straight-talking, serious face and simply said, nope. That launched a long conversation about the merit mess. Her unshakable conclusion. Meritocracy as a framework is so thoroughly discredited by bias and racism that it cannot be made useful. We never co-wrote that article, but what I'm speaking to in this video was launched with her. Here are 10 statements and quotes that intend to reinforce merit, but instead produce bias as an impact. It's painful. 1, I believe in diversity, but they have to be qualified. 2, it's just the science. Men are generally more analytical than women. 3, of course we want a mix of people to interview, but we're still going to focus on excellence. 4, she was a diversity hire. 5, you only got into the school because you're a minority. 6, there will be no more promotions based on identity. They'll be based on merit. We're a merit-based country again. 7, we must forge a colorblind and merit-based society. 8, DEI policies are an identity-based spoils system that denies, discredits, and undermines hard work, excellence, and individual achievement. 9, DEI is fundamentally incompatible with excellence. It says the most qualified person doesn't matter, only their group identity does. And 10, affirmative action and DEI reduce standards to meet quotas. A powerful impact of these biases. White men tend to be viewed as qualified unless proven otherwise, and everyone else has to prove their qualifications over and over again. I'll repeat that. White men tend to be viewed as qualified unless proven otherwise. Everyone else has to prove their qualifications over and over again. It is certainly true that not every white man benefits from this bias, and not every person who identifies otherwise is limited by it. We should also say that two things can be true at the same time. A person can demonstrate merit and also secure advantage or face bias due to their identities. There's complexity here. So it's time to sort through these complications. We're perilously late to reducing such biased judgments of worth. This practice and pattern has damaged people and performance for far too long. So we can explore the powerful, insidious assumptions that drive the ways merit and bias interact. And we can study, discuss, and alleviate the devastating impacts of these assumptions. As I mentioned, it would be useful for you to download the article on the merit mess from greatheartconsulting.com. It identifies 13 biased assumptions about merit and some of the impacts from those behaviors. I'll speak to just 4 here. Assumption: white men are the embodiment of merit and hard work because we say we are. We do not discuss the fact that in the United States, white men are 30% of the population and 70% of corporate executives. This math, by definition, does not represent the distribution of talent across race and gender identities. The impact of this bias: many other talented people work just as hard and don't get the same opportunities. Yes, we must acknowledge that many successful people are talented and work hard. And we must also recognize that many people work hard or harder and do not receive the opportunities they deserve. If you start running from second base, you cross home plate a lot sooner. Next assumption: a person of color or a white woman by default is mediocre. You likely don't believe this, and you may not intend that anyone experience this. But before we deny the reality of this bias, we all need to listen carefully to people suffering because of it. The impact: if your identity differs from an established norm, you must stand out as extraordinary and stifle your uniqueness to fit in and succeed. People identifying as different than an expected norm, which is white men in many contexts, persistently face lower expectations and divide and conquer dynamics that fuel competition for the crumbs. As the saying in the Black community goes, you have to work twice as hard to get half as far. Next assumption in the merit mess: diversity can only succeed by lowering standards. The impact: this bias perpetuates a lie. Teams, well mixed and managed, produce stronger outcomes. And such a bias undercuts true excellence by missing the merit in every person while causing in some a self-doubt that sounds like this: no matter how excellent I am, I will struggle no matter what I do. And one more assumption: people of color and women, for example, should not receive advantage or reward for their mere identities. This sounds rational and right and fair, but the actual impact, while identity may be a factor in excellence, this bias is epic gaslighting. If I, as a white man, derive opportunities from assets beyond my talent and hard work, like social connection and the presumption of merit, I am in no position to unaccountably assert that the identities of those other people should not be considered. It's so wrong and so disingenuous to argue against a bias toward others while denying that we ourselves benefit from such a preference. These are just 4 of the many messes inside the merit mess. The article I mentioned identifies 13, and there are surely many more insidious assumptions and impacts in the ways the merit mess manifests. With biases like these so profoundly staining the credibility of merit, we can understand that many see talk of meritocracy as a self-serving code trying to justify the stealing and hoarding of other people's opportunities. The ways merit is used renders it unredeemable as a useful concept to those whose experience leads them to observe, I've worked hard for years, put up with so much bias, and I still have to constantly prove myself, and I still get called a diversity hire even when I'm more than qualified and while my opportunities are stifled. In a recent post on Medium, writer Jashonda Sanders spoke of what I'm calling the merit mess this way: I was a few months into 40 when I freed myself from the endless cycle of overwork and self-doubt, from the inclination to dim my light and shrink for the benefit of people who use their guilt to reinforce my insecurities. In the end, for Black women, the quest for merit in America is an exercise in futility. Only we can determine our worth and what we deserve. End quote. The rest of us can do 2 things to try and remove the many ways that bias stains judgments of merit using a tool like this video and the Merit Mess article. First, we need to understand the biased assumptions around identities and behavior currently baked into the ways merit and meritocracy are viewed and operate. And then we must unpack each of these assumptions in accountable relationships of trust with those who doubt the utility of merit as a meaningful frame for seeing and rewarding excellence. The credibility of merit and meritocracy faces serious doubt. Merit rightly constructed is a compelling frame for recognizing and rewarding high performance. The problem we must solve: meritocracies are not constructed equitably. That's why we should listen when Columbia professor Kathy Phillips, a profoundly high-performing person of serious intellect and joyful character, discredits the validity of meritocracy as a credible notion. How can we understand a meritocracy that claims to organize around achievement and values when so many see the ways merit is used as a haven for unearned reward? Let's dig into excellence and mediocrity. The merit mess is specifically baffling because merit asserts itself as a paradigm for recognizing and rewarding achievement, and yet so often it suffers from the stains of arrogance and bias. Some speak of meritocracy as the social proof of skill and character, while others decry the very same merit as mediocre performance hiding in plain sight. Even with such immense shortcomings, I find myself unwilling to give up on merit as a frame that can evoke and reward excellence. Accomplishment is what fuels careers, grows teams, and delivers organizational results. Merit, again, rightly organized, can be a powerful cultural commitment to stellar performance and character. It's fair to say that many have missed this key potential woven into the merit mess. To focus on merit and qualifications is not only a risk for bias, it's also vital to excellence in the organization. We should not abandon the pursuit of quality because the idea of merit has been used to abuse. We should aspire to hire and promote highly qualified talent. We should lean into redefining and applying a more inclusive approach to qualifications, moving from diversity versus merit to differences as qualifications. We should work together to reduce how bias creeps into decisions via unfair judgments of worth. And we should join our colleagues in committing to what is truly meritorious in past and expected performance. A real meritocracy will not use human differences to punish people, but instead it leverages collaboration and competition among a mix of people as success factors. This brings us to mediocrity. The diversity versus merit bias permits some mediocre talent from a narrow set of identities to rise in place of stronger talent from a wider mix of identities. The rarely stated mathematical reality is this: there can only be underrepresented people when there are also overrepresented people. As a white man myself, let me spell it out. White men are 30% of all Americans, and we occupy 70% of all executive positions nationally. This means that many hardworking and talented white male executives are not in their roles solely due to merit. Don't miss the point because it stings. Are all white men excellent or mediocre? Of course not. No other group identity is either. That's not how achievement works in this world. Real issue: how can we redefine merit to fairly include achievement and character across every aspect of identity? The answer: we learn to construct an inclusive meritocracy. If diversity, equity, and inclusion can become sources for excellence, then as an inclusive meritocracy will solve problems by seizing solutions like these 6. You'll find more in the article. More competition. Over time, we see employees apply for and win promotions that they previously did not seek. Credible practices around merit. All employees come to trust that objective judgments of demonstrated skill and strong character will guide work assignments, promotion, and compensation. Hard work and flexibility. Managers and employees develop a clearer appreciation of the many ways that people work hard, the impacts on family, and the need to work remotely. More equitable hiring. Inclusive leaders know that talent is distributed relatively evenly across populations. So equitable hiring focuses on the market availability of the mix of talent. This is segmentation, not discrimination. When we are positioned to compete for our fair share of market available talent across relevant identity points, it brings excellence and well qualified into focus. We steer away from bias inclined toward or against anyone primarily on the basis of their identities, so we can direct our decision-making toward competing for the mix of talent we need to succeed. Development opportunities and advancement. We move toward diversity as qualifications here. In this construct, qualifications may include aspects of identity like race and gender when, for example, the HR team is composed mostly of women, or the engineering team over-indexes men. The new discipline is to analyze the relevance of any identity point and consider all manner of distinct abilities and transferable skills in the definition of qualifications. One of my favorite examples, a tech company that always has a sentence in a management promotion announcement explaining how the rising person is skilled as an inclusive leader. When the promoted person is a white man, announcing his inclusive leadership capabilities this way sends 3 important messages. 1, all leaders are expected to lead inclusively. 2, everyone observing the announcement discovers that white men can also be rewarded for leading inclusively. It's meritorious. 3, It rightly pressures the person rising to get even better as an inclusive leader. And a sixth result inclusive meritocracy brings, the meaning of equity widens. In addition to fairness, decisions, and limiting adverse impacts, managers focus on how equity helps each person get what they need to succeed, which sets up high-performing teams. One more thought. Fair-minded, merit-capable leaders don't need quotas or targets or any other representational method that runs the risk of unfair preference when applied to individuals. Why not? Because inclusive meritocracy defines qualifications robustly and equitably, then sees and rewards accomplishment consistently with due regard for identities. Well, we've made the case for the merit mess, so let's close by working on how to clean it up. The mess that we've made of merit is complicated, but how we fix it can be simply stated, even as the redemption of merit will still be hard won. We can lead more inclusively to clean up the merit mess by doing these 5 things. Number 1, define merit and meritocracy with rigor and clarity so that employees understand and accept it. Here's a place to start as you work toward your own definition of merit. Merit is the demonstrated and rewarded pattern of high performance in a combination of individual effort, team success, and positive results. The Society for Human Resource Management puts it another way, quote, merit-based frameworks prioritize inclusivity and belonging, ensuring that everyone has the chance to contribute, develop, and succeed, shifting the focus from traditional measures of most qualified to fostering environments where all talents can be discovered, nurtured, and valued, end quote. Number 2, deconstruct and reduce the bias in how merit is practiced between people and embedded in systems and culture. Utilize the chart of assumptions and impacts in the article I've been mentioning. Number 3, redefine excellence by establishing a stronger and more inclusive approach to qualifications. How they are defined, ways for people to show they're qualified, diversifying where you search for talent, and clear guidance and less bias during every stage in the employee experience, from writing a job posting to their last day on the job. Number 4, do these things in relationships of trust and accountability across all aspects of identity. Discuss these first 3 actions with colleagues, family, and friends. And number 5, act, speak, study, and write in ways that demonstrate your commitment to inclusive merit. Make this a performance goal that you share with your manager and peers. Greatheart Consulting can help you make all these investments. Let me close with this. Maybe merit can evolve beyond Catherine Phillips' informed and dismissive nope into a narrative where the mix of our human differences becomes an integral part of what qualified looks like. Perhaps we can learn to manifest diversity as excellence and then innovate new outcomes. Maybe an inclusive meritocracy is possible. The aspiration, every kind of excellence is rewarded and a mix of talent rises. Then merit will show us inclusion and excellence as siblings at work. Please use this video to understand the merit mess so you can clean it up for the sake of excellence with all your colleagues. Thanks for watching.